Kia te whānau, and welcome to another episode of Playmakers ko Ravinder Hunia tōku ingoa. My guest today, some know him as a broadcaster and others in the basketball world know him as a shooting guard. Joining me today is Brook Ruscoe. Kia ora e hoa.
Kia ora, sis. Man, this is cool. It's cool.
This
It's been
is
a
very
long
cool.
time since I've been able to see you, so this is great.
I know. Well, besides social media, I mean, you've been so busy, mate.
Yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a bit of a whirlwind the last I don't know, maybe 2 years. But honestly, since I'm talking to you and I've seen the people that have been on this show before, I feel like I'm moving up in the world, which is great.
You're welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hey, look, a lot of our, viewers and listeners know you now as, Brooke from My FM. You've been
Yep.
on that gig for a little while now. Congratulations, you're doing so well
Thank
on that
you.
show.
Thank you,
But
thank you, thank you.
before the broadcasting thing kind of came along, you were this prize basketball player. You're still playing now, which we will get
Yeah.
into a little later. But talk about your basketball journey to start off with. I mean, a lot of us as kids, we kind of dribble the ball around at playtime at school, but you took
Yeah.
it much, much further than that.
I don't know if prize basketballer is the word, but we'll go with basketballer. But yeah, no, it's been such a journey to even be back playing this year. Eh? So to go back to the start, grew up in Wellington, and it was Porirua to be exact, and in Porirua basketball is just kind of like a way of life almost. It's like rugby, basketball. Which one do you want to go with? And my family played basketball, so it was kind of like a given to just fall into that. And then as I was growing up, everything kind of just it fell into place, and I knew that was what I wanted to do. And as any young guy who has one goal in life, put all of his eggs into one basket. And up until I was maybe like 24, 25, that was the best thing I could have done. It was like buying into Bitcoin. It was great. I had an injury when I went to the States. So I went to America, and just, as you do, it's like a way of life. If you want to play basketball, you kind of go to America and you go to college over there. So I did that. And then I just needed to have surgery. So I had I'll try and do it like that, but like it was my hip socket, and then it was just bone rubbing on bone. So they just had to kind of reshape it. So it was a real easy surgery, and I came back to New Zealand to have it. But while that surgery happened, the surgeon left a piece of the drill in my hip, and he didn't tell anyone. So there was this massive piece of drill, and that all word that I can't say left it in there. And we just went through it. I thought that everything was fine. I did all my rehab. I did everything right. And by the time I was supposed to go back to America, it was still just like a little bit of pain. But if you're in America also, you get a free scholarship, but you don't get paid. And I was kind of at that point in my life where I was like, I can go one of two ways. I can finish the scholarship, and I loved America, or I can start making money. And then I started to get some offers that I was like, never really had money before. This would be wonderful. So stayed here, started making a little bit of money, and my hip kind of just got worse and worse and worse. But I was in Cairns, and it got really, really bad. Like, it was, if you think about it, at that point, it'd probably been like 4, maybe 5 years of this drill part that we had no idea about, just floating around in my hip. So it torn all the cartilage away. It literally went back to bone rubbing on bone with like a foreign object in there. It just wasn't the best in the world. But mentally, I was sweet because I knew that in my mind I had done everything right. Like, I ticked all the boxes. I tried my hardest. I had rehabbed everything. I had done all of the stuff with the physios. Like, I tried years and years of just ticking every box, playing with like the Tall Blacks and having everything under there. Like, and then when I finally came to the end of my contract in Cairns, the coach and I kind of came up with an agreement of like, man, this happens in sport. It is what it is. And I was okay with it. It sucked. Like, it was horrible, but it sucked. But I was okay with it because I knew I had done all that I could do. And then you fast forward like a couple of years, I was back in New Zealand, and my hip was still really sore. Didn't really think too much of it. I just thought, that was the surgery. I've done everything. Don't worry. But day-to-day stuff was really hard. Like, getting out of bed, warming it up was horrible. And at that time, I was like 27. You should be in your prime, or you shouldn't have any sort of pains. And it was my chiropractor who was like, I don't know what this is, but just go and get an x-ray. So finally find out that it was a piece of drill that had torn everything away. That was the really hard part, because it wasn't really on me, or I didn't feel like it was on me. Someone else had kind of taken away everything that I had worked for. And if you get into like professional sports, it's demanding. Like you have to do a lot. It's just time and training and time away from your family, and there's just so much that comes with it. So I'd given up a lot, and to lose it on what I felt like someone else had done was really hard. So mentally, after I found out about him leaving that drill part in there, and kind of, I don't know, that was the end of it. That part for me was really, really hard. So it took a while after that to kind of get some sort of structure back in my life, and I'm very grateful for my partner. I kind of met her at that point in my life, which was, to be fair, one of the lowest points of my life. Just because everything was like a whirlwind at the moment, and she was kind of the glue behind everything at that time, and has been the whole way through. So I was very, very lucky to meet her, and she was a little bit of a savior in terms of like mentally, because it was really hard at the time. But I guess like where we are right now, things happen for a reason, and I'll take the blessings now. But there was a moment there, it was probably like a year or 8 to 12 months, where I was kind of like, oh, shouldn't have put all your eggs in one basket, buddy, old pal. But it has worked out now. I'm very, very grateful.
So you were playing, at the top of, basketball, elite basketball for Cairns Taipans. You had played for, I'm not sure if the surgery was before or after Junior Tall Blacks. I'm guessing Junior Tall Blacks was before, but you were playing for Tall Blacks. Yeah, before.
After, yeah.
And then you were playing Tall Blacks, probably, I'm thinking about, a typical New Zealander who would be playing basketball, that would be the dream, to get into the national side. So you were doing all of this while trying to nurse this, whatever was happening with your injury. Describe how that was mentally for you, because how frustrating would it have been to know that you were doing absolutely everything right, medically, and it just was still plaguing you?
Yeah, it's tough. Like, making the Tall Blacks was always a dream. I never, I always was, and I don't mean to sound like cocky, but I always felt like I had a good chance of making the Tall Blacks. So that was like a big goal of mine, was to make the Tall Blacks. And when I finally did it, that's when it was a real catch, because I was in so much pain, but I was also living my dream. So you're kind of like, I finally made it, but what do you do with your hip? So I would, and I do not suggest this to anyone, but like before games, I was taking like 2, maybe even 3 tramadols if it was like that bad. So like my body is like trying to do something, and yes, I couldn't feel the pain, but also like so much is going, like I wasn't really playing the games, if that makes sense. Like I was there and I was playing, but I wasn't. I was a little bit of a space cadet, because tramadol will do that too, but I really wanted to play. So yeah, like the blessing that I took out of it was that I met my partner, and she was kind of the rock during it all. But in terms of everything you had worked for and everything you have dreamed for, and it just kind of felt like someone else had taken it away from me, that's when I was kind of like, it was really hard to get over. And I would always, I don't want to out him. I trust me, I know his name. But he's a surgeon in Christchurch, and I would call, like once I found out about this, I gave them a few calls, and I would only get through to the receptionist, and I just wanted to just have a yarn. So I don't want to, grill him, but just kind of ask him.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
When you think back to your time with the Tall Blacks, though, despite having that injury, you made it. You were still able to fight through and make the squad. Do you think back on that time? Probably the way you explain it, you could have been, more of a player than you ever could have been had that not have happened to you. But when you do think about your time with the Tall Blacks, what are the things that stand out for you, and how did it feel to finally reach your goal of representing Aotearoa?
I think one of the big things that you take away from sport is either friendships or moments. And I can still walk away with my head held high and be a part of basketball, and say like some of my closest friends to this day, or people that I'll just see at events that I have played with or played against with the Tall Blacks. Like it's just a family in there. Those are some of my greatest memories. I can remember when the first time that I played for the Junior Tall Blacks, and the first time I played for the Tall Blacks. The first time I played Junior Tall Blacks, we played Australia, and I bawled my eyes out. And the first time I played for the Tall Blacks, I bawled my eyes out as well when we did the national anthem. There's that feeling that it's so hard to explain, and maybe it's like having your first child. Like it's you really just can't explain it. I like having those memories and being able to be like, yes, I was a part of the Tall Blacks family, and I did represent New Zealand, even with everything that was going on. I am really proud that I, gritted it out and I did make it happen.
And even despite that, and after finding out, what was the true cause of your injury and things like that, you've continued to give back to the basketball community, haven't you? You've gone into broadcasting, and you continue to shine that light. A lot of it simply by being on My FM, people knowing that you have that basketball profile, the interest is there, and probably sometimes debatable with a lot of people that basketball should have a brighter light shining on it in Aotearoa, seeing as it is one of the fastest growing sports in our country for both men and women, something that you're probably very familiar with.
Yes.
But I'll talk to you a bit about the state of basketball in New Zealand at the moment. You're playing for Auckland Huskies this year, so you're in the community, you're in the environment. What are your thoughts on it, and how far do you think it's come over the years?
Oh, it's come a long way. I know that much for sure. I was the old head, so this was my first year back playing again, and I ummed and ahed about playing. It's a lot, but I'm super glad that I did play this year now as well. But I was kind of like I got chucked in the deep end. We're a brand new team. I was one of the older guys on the team, ended up being the captain, and like kind of when you're the captain, a lot of the times, people look to you and they'll be like, "Why do you do this?" or "Why are we going through this?" But it was kind of roles reversed, because the game had changed so much since I was away, that I was kind of going to the younger guys, being like, "What does this mean? Why are we doing this?" And the transition into this and these calls that we're running now, like the game had just changed so much, and I think for the better. There's a few key things that I don't think get recognized enough in terms of why the sport is growing so well at the moment. Like they do, but they don't. Stephen Adams is obviously the huge one, and just seeing him, and if you see someone that looks like you out there doing these amazing things, you think, oh, you know what? Holy heck, I can, maybe do this. So I think Steve is huge, and yes, Steve does get the recognition. I just don't know if he necessarily gets the recognition for why basketball is growing so much as he should. And then I don't know, because I've been away for so long, I just haven't been super connected with Basketball New Zealand. But from what I see, like grassroots level or high school stuff, it's just going bananas. And
you found a career in broadcasting. You and I knew each other from working at Māori television a few years back, when we were trying to get somewhere quick.
Find ourselves.
But it was a great experience. Everyone starts somewhere, and that was it for us. But you've gone on to do great things with My FM. But I still see you, do little things. I think I saw a little vlog thing you did with the Breakers and these little community things here and there. So even though you are at My FM and you are covering an array of entertainment, are you still pretty staunch to flying that basketball flag?
I try my best. There's two things that people probably get real sick of hearing from me. One is basketball, and the other one is Wellington. Like all I do, I feel like my whole life purpose is just like promote this and promote that. But yeah, I think it's just you gravitate towards what you know. And for like, I don't know, 26, 27 years of my life, that was all I knew. So it's just so easy to talk about. Very passionate about it. I love what the Breakers are doing in terms of who they bring in. Quite close with a couple of those boys as well. So it makes it really easy to go in there and just have a shoe on the other foot. It's weird. Like one thing that I have really enjoyed is still being a part of the Breakers, and My FM. We sponsor the Breakers, so it's like a hand in hand, like it goes hand in hand. But one of the hardest things to actually do is sit down and talk to the boys and have an interview with the boys. It sounds weird, like that should be the easiest thing to do, but it's hard. You go from being really close friends to asking them like questions that you probably wouldn't ask, and there's like a little bit of a disconnect. So I do my best to try and make it as normal as possible, but that has been, it is really hard. Like it's a good challenge to have, but it has been really hard. I thought that even like getting into radio, I was like, nah, you just turn the mics on and then Bob's your uncle, you see where it goes. And sometimes that's what we do. I'll be honest, and it probably sounds like that. Sometimes that's what we do. But majority of the time, we kind of have a plan. It's been a cool journey, and that's why, as I said before, like those blessings of being able to be where I am now, as opposed to where I thought I was going to be. It's I'm extremely lucky.
That's it. I love the drive. I love the determination, and you have to, right? Like things happen in life, and it's up to you how you get yourself back up.
Yeah, it
You've
was
only
a
got
roller
one
coaster
life
there for
to
a
live.
while.
Yeah. Oh, most definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah.
Sounds like it. It kind of sounds like you're describing a basketball game, the way you describe how you lay out your your process with
Well,
the
it
team.
kind
You've
of
got to be on
is
your game,
like that.
the ebbs, the ebbs and
It kind
flows.
of is like that. That's a great way to put it. My life is just one big basketball game.
Hey, look, to wrap it up, Brooke, you've
Mm.
played with the Huskies 2021. What are your plans moving forward? Obviously, we're going to continue to listen to you on the radio waves, but in terms
Yep.
of basketball and the game, how do you want to carry on with this?
My FM by itself is really big, and basketball by itself is really big. But if you do it by itself, you can kind of get through it. You have time to do other things. If you do them both at the same time, it's just a lot. So I was just really tired the whole season. I hadn't played for oh, 3 years, and I had no intentions on playing again as well. I had another surgery just to clean everything up, and then after the surgery, I was like, no, I'm done. Like, I don't want to play again. Um, and the surgeon was like, oh, you probably won't play again. Like, this isn't for you. This is just so day to day you're not in any pain. And I was like, yeah, sweet. And then just one thing led to another, and before you know it, I'm bloody playing again. But I just didn't comprehend going to training on a Tuesday, Thursday, Friday night, playing on a Saturday down in Christchurch, flying back on Sunday, going to physio Sunday night, going back into my FM on Monday, doing the whole job, training again Monday night, training again Tuesday, physio on Wednesday, Thursday, training again Thursday night. Like there was just literally no time. And if you add my FM on top of that, where you have to go and do your day-to-day job, but then also there's other, things that you have to go and do. You have to do an event here, or you have to, I don't know. There's just so many things that you have to do. It was a lot, but the upside was I had so much fun. Like just being able to get back out there and play. I had no expectations on myself. Honestly, I thought I wasn't even going to play, and then I ended up playing bloody like 35 minutes a game at the start of the season. Then I got injured halfway through the season, and still ended up playing like maybe 25 odd minutes a game, plus maybe even up to 30, which is heaps. It was a lot. So my worry for next year is that maybe the novelty is worn off, and I've got a baby coming as well, which is the real kicker. So Bubs is
Oh,
due.
nice.
Yeah, Bubs is due in November, so we've got like just over a month. But I just know that if you add a baby onto my FM, onto basketball, I just don't know where I'm going to sleep. So it's a lot, but at the same time, like I can't express how much fun I had, and how like just being around the young boys, and I just felt youthful again, and there was something about being back there. So in saying all that, yeah, I'll be back out there next year, but I'm like, I just know it's going to be rough, but I'm ready for it as well. So honestly, I have no idea how I'm going to do it. That's the brutally honest truth. I have no idea how I'm going to do it, but yeah, we're just going to have to make it work.
I'm sure once Bubs comes along, you're not going to sleep. Let me just tell you that right now. You won't be sleeping. But I'm guessing you'll have, the greatest little mascot courtside with you for the season. That's for sure.
Oh, I've seen like and this is the worst reason to play, but just some of the guys in the team this year, they had just had a baby, and so after the game they'd have baby, and they'd be talking to him or her, and I was like, that's just the coolest thing I've ever seen, and I want to have that moment, and I used to be real embarrassed to say some of my friends' names. Now I'm okay with it because I'm proud of who these guys are. But Sean Johnson is one of my closest friends, and he and his partner Kayla, who one of my closest friends as well, they had their baby, and I still remember the first time that Sean came back from injury, and he was holding Miller over in Cronulla, and I saw that photo, and I was just like, that is like everything to me, So I don't want to have that feeling before that feeling comes, but just little things like that I know, hopefully, and he probably won't remember, but I hope that one day when he's like 6 or 7, he was like, yeah, I used to go to my dad's games and he was all right.
My dad's the man.
I hope so. I hope so. I know, you know how you always hope these things, they don't really turn out. He's full of it. But that's my hope. My hope is that he looks at me and he's like, yeah, no, that guy was all right. Fingers
I'm
crossed.
sure. Well, the best part about it is that's the best motivation for you, and, Aaron Young will, twist that finger and get you out for one more season. And I'm hoping that it's all going to be worth it for you. You deserve it. You deserve all the court time you can get after what you went through.
That guy's the bloody problem. He runs us through hard in preseason. They was like, honestly, it's Aaron Young that I got a problem with. Nah, he was great. Honestly, he was half the reason I was back, and I've got a lot of love for that guy. He's one of my very good friends.
Nice. Well, Brooke, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey,
and
thank you.
giving
Thank
us
you for
a
having
little
me.
No
Sorry to chew
problem,
your
and
ear
all
off.
the very best for your next season.
Thank you. So good to see you.
You too.